Kelly's Heroes is one of the best movies you've probably never seen or even heard of. If you're a fan of World War II movies, it's an absolute must-see. It's an action comedy, believe it or not, set in World War II. It's got Clint Eastwood, it's got Don Rickles, it's got bloody Telly Savalas, all right, it's got Donald Sutherland, it's got Archie Bunker, an all-star cast, tearing up the scenery, these larger-than-life characters with a great script, all right, and the comedy is hilarious, the dialogue is hilarious, the action is, decent enough. It's made in 1970, so it's got that sort of sanitized violence, but you know what? To be honest, I prefer that nowadays. I'm done with the torture porn you see in modern war movies and a lot of horror movies and that. It's too much. This movie is more of a caper anyway, so it's better to keep it lighthearted, and the violence is not very graphic, all right? It's effective enough that someone was injured or someone was killed, all right? But the movie is absolutely fantastic. It's pretty much what inspired that movie Three Kings. Now, I don't know what went through the writer or the writer's head who wrote and the director of Three Kings. I don't know if they were inspired by this, but it's pretty much a complete rip-off story-wise. And that's fine. They updated it to the Gulf War. And I didn't mind Three Kings that much. The first time I watched it, from my memory, it was pretty entertaining. But it didn't hold a candle to this movie. And the story is, Clint Eastwood, he finds out through some intel from a German officer that was captured that he was interrogating. He got him drunk, and the guy's loose lips started flapping. And he revealed that there's a whole bunch of gold in a bank in a small French town being guarded by a bunch of tiger tanks behind enemy lines. And Clint Eastwood's like, well, at this stage of the war in occupied France, they were the communication and supply lines were, pretty chaotic at the time, I guess. So he was able to, get a bunch of men and slip through the system and not get noticed that he was missing and go and get this gold. And he has to recruit, he needs some tank support. So he goes and finds Donald Sutherland, who's a complete oddball. Literally, that's his character's name in the movie as well, Oddball. Right, and he's completely insane. And him and his men had sort of been hiding away as well with their 3 Sherman tanks, avoiding the war as well. And taking it easy. So he recruits them easily. I mean, he has a gold bar, a bullion with him, which is enough to, whet their appetites. And it gets Don Rickles into the game as well. And Telly Savalas, probably one of my favorite characters in the movie, as Sergeant Big Joe. And he is so charismatic in this movie, and he's yelling all the time and screaming at everyone, and it's fucking hilarious, okay? And he's just this larger-than-life personality, and they recruit him to come along as well. He's reluctant, because he doesn't think they'll get away with it at first. He thinks it's a suicide mission, especially when you've got Oddball providing the tank support. But they all come together, these, this wacky team of larger-than-life characters, and it makes for hilarious hijinks. It's like Ocean's 11 in World War II. It's fantastic. The characters are great. The acting's great. The action's great. Especially the scenes with the Sherman tanks. They're brilliant. Wonderful. And the from Seinfeld, Uncle Leo's in it as well. Jerry, hello! He's in it. They get him to help them out as well. And Archie Bunker plays the general. He's hilarious. He tears up the scenery as well. They all are. They all are having a blast in this movie. You can tell all the actors are having the time of their life making this movie. And it's a kind of movie you put it on and you just got a smile on your face from beginning to end. It's so much fun. It's so damn entertaining. The soundtrack is fantastic as well. It's the first time I heard the song Burning Bridges. It plays during the opening credits while Clint Eastwood's driving his Jeep avoiding a bloody artillery barrage that's destroying a town. It's a fantastic soundtrack. Just the whole movie is excellent. And especially the script. Whoever wrote that script, I got to look it up. A genius with words. I mean, it's just... It feels like authentic dialogue. It's almost Tarantino-esque dialogue in a way, but in a 1970 film. it feels a bit at times like an exploitation movie in the sense that, the dialogue feels very realistic and it doesn't feel that conventional as a film, especially for that time. But it still looks like a big budget movie at the same time because the sets are great, the cinematography is great. They got real Sherman tanks. It's fantastic. It's just a great movie that I can revisit over and over again. My dad introduced me to it when I was younger, and I loved it from the first time I saw it. And I watch it every couple of years. It's been a few years now since I said I'm due to watch it again. But it always just stuck with me as one of the better World War II films I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them. And the great thing about it is it's so damn lighthearted. It's a comedy. It's hilarious at the same time that it's a war movie. So you get to enjoy both genres mixed together. And it inspired, I'm pretty sure, Three Kings, probably a bunch of other movies as well. But it's so damn good. It's a high recommend from me. If you like World War II movies, if you like comedies, if you're a Clint Eastwood fan. For me, it's probably my favorite Clint Eastwood movie. And I know, sacrilegious, because he's, known so much for his westerns. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and all that. And he's great in his westerns. But the role I enjoy him in the most, his most entertaining movie for me, is not his westerns or Dirty Harry, which I love those movies, but it's this movie. This is my favorite Clint Eastwood role by far, my favorite Donald Sutherland role, my favorite Telly Savalas role. And it was so good having Don Rickles in there as well. He's a hilarious comedian. Especially my generation's not familiar with a lot of these guys. Apart from Clint Eastwood, they probably all know his name. But millennials aren't familiar with someone like Don Rickles, or the Rat Pack and those group of guys. But I used to watch Rickles on the Dean Martin roasts, and the man was hilarious. The jokes he would say, you couldn't even get away with now. And he would do it without cursing. Without cursing, he was saying some of the dirtiest, filthiest, most politically incorrect jokes. And it was hilarious back then. And you couldn't get away with it now because everyone's so bloody sensitive and all the comedy is so sanitized now. Now they think they're edgy because they're dropping F-bombs and saying, shit and C words all the time. They think that makes them edgy. No, you go watch a bloody Don Rickles set from the 60s, from the bloody 70s. All right? And you see, that's edgy. Okay? Especially his racial humor is absolutely hilarious. All right? And it was never malicious. Because he would make these jokes about his good friends like Sammy Davis Jr. or Frank Sinatra. All right? Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here about how great comedy used to be. But this movie is fantastic. You got to watch it. It's one of my favorite war movies and one of my favorite comedies of all time. And it's great just watching these guys try to slip through the cracks of, the high command to not get noticed that they're bloody well got to go behind enemy lines just to steal some fucking gold. And hopefully get away with it. And it's millions of dollars worth of gold in 1940s money. So, you adjust for inflation, it's a shitload of cash that they're going to get away with if they can pull off the mission. And I won't ruin it. There's also a great actor who plays the German tank commander in the French town. And this guy's got just a face you'll never forget. Very larger-than-life character. I believe that same actor was also in Battle of the Bulge. And he's just got an unforgettable face, and he looks so damn German, but I'm not sure if he even is German in real life. But he was memorable. The whole movie is memorable. All right, you got bloody Donald Sutherland shooting paint out of his... He's shooting paint shells out of his Sherman tank. Because it makes, in his own words, pretty pictures. The movie is fantastic. Especially, he's standing on the tank like bloody General George Washington in the rain. It's such a good movie. I could rant on and on all day about how damn good it is. But the point of this video is to just hopefully put it out there on a few people's radar. Even if only one person who's never seen this movie checks it out because they heard me recommending this video, then it was worthwhile. Okay? So, if you've listened this far, thanks for listening. Go watch the damn movie. It's a high recommend from me. And while you're there, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. Let me know if you also love this movie, if you've never heard of it, or if you hate it. If you're this weird minority of people who could possibly hate this movie. I don't see how anyone could. But anyway, let me know if you do. Take care, be good, and I'll see yous later.